Thank you all for joining me on another episode of I'll Read That, the show where your stories get heard. We have been on this journey so far, 10 chapters in, a little over halfway done, of Toby, my novel. So, thank you so much for your enthusiasm and enjoyment of this story. By no means is it perfect, but I'm glad I have an opportunity to read it to you. So, we are in chapter 11, A Second Home. Spring had fully settled over the town, painting the landscape with vibrant greens and blossoming flowers. But for Lily and her family, the season was far from bright. While the world outside seemed to come alive, the weight of a family crisis had cast a shadow over their home. Lily's uncle had been diagnosed with severe illness, and the situation was worsening. He required constant care, and as the closest family, Lily's parents had taken on the responsibility of managing his day-to-day needs. They were stretched thin, physically and emotionally drained by the demands of caregiving. Lily found herself in the midst of this storm, trying to help where she could. She had always been close to her uncle, and watching his condition deteriorate took a toll on her as well. Between school, helping out with errands, and spending time at her uncle's house, her days were consumed with worry and fatigue. Even when she was home, her thoughts were on her family's situation, and Toby, her energetic, loving companion, was beginning to feel the strain of her distraction. Toby, ever loyal, had noticed the change. His once routine walks were growing shorter, his playtime cut back to quick moments in the yard. He spent most of his days waiting by the window, watching Lily rush in and out of the house, hoping for their usual adventures that never seemed to come. Lily could feel the guilt gnawing at her. Toby didn't complain, but the sadness in his eyes were unmistakable. One evening, after an exhausting day at the hospital with her parents, Lily returned home to find Toby eagerly waiting at the door, tail wagging and eyes full of anticipation. But instead of playing with him as she normally would, she sat down on the couch and buried her face in her hands. Toby trotted over, laying his head on her lap as if sensing her distress. Tears welled up in Lily's eyes as she gently patted his head. She had always been able to count on Toby's unwavering affection, but now the weight of the situation felt too much for her to carry alone. That night during dinner, her parents broached a subject that had been weighing heavily on all of them. "We need to talk about Toby," her father began, glancing over at Lily with a serious but sympathetic expression. "I know you love him, but with everything going on with your uncle, we're all stretched too thin." Lily's mother nodded, her face filled with worry. "Sweetheart, I can barely keep up with everything around the house, and I know you've been trying, but you can't do it all alone. Toby needs more attention than we can give him right now." Lily felt her heart tighten. She had been dreading this conversation, knowing that her parents were right. "No," she said quietly. "It's just, he's my best friend. I don't want to give him up." Her father leaned forward with his tone gentle but firm. "We're not saying you have to give him up forever, but we need to think about what's best for him right now. He deserves to be somewhere where he can get the care and attention he needs. We're just not able to do that at the moment." Lily looked at Toby, who was curled up on his bed near the fireplace, oblivious to the conversation but radiating his usual warmth. The thought of not having him by her side every day was unbearable, but so was the thought of him being neglected during the incredibly difficult time. She couldn't deny that Toby had already been feeling the impact of her absence. He was used to long walks, agility training, and her playful routines, but lately he had only been getting short bursts of attention, and Lily knew that wasn't fair to him. "I don't know how I could let him go," Lily whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "Part of the family." Her mother reached across the table, gently squeezing her hand. "We're not saying he's we're not saying this lightly, honey. We all love Toby, and this is the last thing any of us want us to do. But we need to think about his happiness too." A heavy silence settled over the room, Lily's mind racing as she thought of all the possibilities. Could she somehow make it work? Was there a way to balance her responsibilities at home, help her parents care for her uncle, and still give Toby the life he deserved? She wished there was an easy answer, but deep down, she knew what needed to be done. Her father sighed. Maybe we can find him a temporary home, somewhere where he can be cared for and loved. Then, when things settle back down with your uncle, we can think about bringing him back. The idea of Toby living with someone else, even temporarily, filled Lily with dread. But her father was right. Toby deserved better than what she could give him right now, and she loved him too much to let him suffer because of her family situation. "Do you think we could find someone who would take care of him the way I would?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her mother smiled gently. "I think we can find a family who would love Toby as much as we do. It's not forever, Lily, but for now, it might be what's best for him." Lily looked down at Toby, her heart breaking at the thought of parting with him. But she knew her parents were right, and as much as she wanted to hold on, the kindest thing that she could do for Toby was to find him a place where he could thrive, even if it meant being away from him, even if it meant being away from her for a while. "I'll think about it," Lily said softly, wiping her tears. "I just want him to be happy." Her father nodded. "We all do. And whatever you decide, we'll support you." That night, as Lily lay in bed, Toby curled up beside her. She struggled with the decision. The thought of Toby not being there, his warm presence absent from her life, was almost too painful to bear. But she also knew how much joy he brought out to others, whether it was through the pet therapy program or just being his playful, loving self. He deserved a life full of attention and happiness, and right now, Lily wasn't sure she could give it to him. As she stroked Toby's fur, she whispered, "No matter what happens, you'll always be my best friend." One bright Saturday morning, Lily and Toby took a leisurely stroll through the park. The air was filled with the sounds of chirping birds and laughter of children playing. Toby's exuberance was palpable, his tail wagging energetically as he chased after falling leaves and greeted other parkgoers with a friendly bark. Lily, reflecting on Toby's journey, was filled with a sense of purpose. Although Toby had settled into their life together, well, she knew that finding another temporary home for him could provide additional stability and a sense of belonging. She had been in touch with several local foster agencies, and there was one particular family that seemed like a perfect match. As they walked, Lily thought about the upcoming meeting with the family. The Parkers had recently lost their old dog, and they were eager to foster a new companion to fill the void, even for a short while. Their home was a spacious, welcoming place with a large yard, and they had expressed a genuine interest in giving Toby a loving home he deserved. Lily had always envisioned herself as a passionate advocate for dogs in need. Her goal was to foster and help Her goal was to foster and help place as many dogs as she could, and she was committed to making a difference in their lives. This was not a farewell to Toby, but rather a step toward offering him a new opportunity where he could continue to thrive and bring joy to himself and a family that needed him. The afternoon arrived, and Lily prepared Toby for his meeting with the Parkers. She groomed him carefully, making sure he looked his best. Toby, sensing the importance of the day, seemed both excited and a bit anxious. Lily reassured him with a gentle pat. "You're going to do great, Toby," she said. "Just be yourself. They're going to love you." The Parkers lived in a charming house at the edge of town. Their property was adorned with blooming flowers and a well-maintained lawn. Lily and Toby were greeted warmly by Mrs. Parker, a kind woman with a warm smile, and her two children, Desiree and Graham. "Hello, Lily. And this must be Toby," Mrs. Parker said, extending a hand to pet Toby. "We've been looking forward to meeting him." Toby responded with his usual friendliness, his tail wagging as he accepted Mrs. Parker's gentle strokes. The children, Desiree and Graham, were eager to interact with Toby and took turns throwing a ball for him to fetch. Toby's playful nature shone brightly as he bounded after the ball with enthusiasm. As the afternoon progressed, Lily and the Parkers chatted about Toby's personality and needs. Lily shared stories about his experiences, including his recent work as a therapy dog. Parkers listened intently, clearly moved to Toby's journey and the positive impact he had made. Mr. Parker, who had been quietly observing Toby's interaction with his family, finally spoke up. "We're really impressed with Toby. He seems to have a wonderful temperament and fits right in with our family." Lily felt a surge of relief and happiness. "I'm so glad to hear that. Toby has been through a lot, and it means the world to me to find a family that will give him the love and care he deserves." The Parkers decided to foster Toby, and the news was met with joyful cheers from the children. Toby, sensing the excitement, seemed to recognize that something special was happening. He bounded around with renewed energy, his happiness evident in every wag of his tail. The transition to his new home was carefully planned. Lily and the partners worked together to ensure that Toby's move was smooth and stress-free. She provided the family with Toby's favorite toys, his bed, and a detailed guide on his routine and preferences. The day of the move arrived, and Lily felt a bittersweet mix of emotions. She was excited for Toby's new chapter, but saddened by the prospect of saying goodbye. She spent a few quiet moments with Toby, offering him comfort and reassurance. "You're going to have a great time here," Lily said softly, hugging Toby. "You'll be loved and cared for, and I'll always cherish the time we spent together. This isn't a goodbye, it's a chance for you to bring joy to another family. Hopefully not forever." As Lily walked Toby into his new temporary home, Toby's usual enthusiasm and energy were on full display. His tail wagged furiously, and his ears perked up, intrigued by the unfamiliar surroundings and the new faces that greeted him at the door. He bounced around, sniffing curiously, eager to explore, but something was different. Despite the excitement of the new smells and the warm smiles from the family, Toby kept glancing back at Lily as if seeking reassurance. In Toby's mind, the day felt strange. There was something unspoken hanging in the air. He was used to adventure with Lily, trips, new places, and meeting new people, but this felt different. There was a lingering sense of change, and he wasn't sure what it meant. Toby nudged Lily's leg, trying to understand what was happening. He couldn't quite grasp the sadness in her eyes, but he knew she wouldn't do anything to hurt him or harm him. Her gentle touch and soft voice had always reassured him, and today was no different, even if something felt off. As Lily knelt beside him for one last hug, Toby sensed her hesitation. She held him a little longer than usual, her face buried in his fur as she whispered comforting words. He felt the warmth of her hands and the steady rhythm of her heartbeat, and for a moment he was content, certain that everything would be fine. But then, as Lily slowly stood up and walked toward the door, a small flicker of confusion passed through Toby. He padded after her, his paws light on the floor, his head tilted as he watched her move away. When she finally reached the door, Toby's tail slowed its wag, and his ears lowered slightly. He wanted to follow her like he always did, to hop into the car for their next adventure, but something held him back. Toby glanced around at the new family who greeted him with affection and kind words, but his eyes kept returning to Lily. She was the one who had been his constant companion, the one who always knew what he needed. Yet, as much as he didn't understand why she was leaving him here, he trusted her. Deep down, Toby knew that Lily wouldn't leave him in a place where he wasn't safe or loved. He just didn't fully understand why she wasn't staying. As Lily slipped out the door, Toby trotted over to the window, placing his front paws on the sill to watch her go. As Toby stood by the window, his gaze locked on Lily, the confusion within him deepened. He had been through many changes in his life, but Lily had always been his constant. He had been the one She had been the one to throw his favorite ball in the park, to guide him through the agility courses, and to sit with him on quiet evenings by the fire. Now she stood on the other side of the glass. Something in her posture told Toby that it wasn't like their usual trips or outings. Her shoulders were slumped, and her face, though trying to maintain a smile, was soft with sadness. Toby pressed his nose against the window, fogging up the glass as he watched her. His tail gave a few half-hearted wags, unsure whether to be excited about this new place or worried about the unfamiliar emotions swirling around him. Lily had never left him like this before. There had been times when she went out, leaving him at home, but this felt different, like a break in their routine, a shift that he couldn't quite place. The new family behind him tried to engage him, offering treats and toys, calling his name with gentle voices. Toby's ears twitched to the sound, and for a moment he considered turning around to investigate, but he couldn't tear his eyes away from Lily. His heart ached with a mixture of loyalty and confusion. His instincts told him to stay by her side, yet here he was, on the inside, watching her leave. Lily had always been the center of his world, and now she was walking away. Toby could sense that something was wrong, but his simple canine heart couldn't grasp the complexities of human emotions. He could only feel the tug of change and the sadness that lingered in the air. Toby whined softly, his breath quickening as he pressed harder against the window, hoping that maybe if he watched closely enough, she'd turn back and come to the door to take him home. But instead, Lily paused by the car, taking a deep breath. Toby could see her shoulders rise and fall, as if she were trying to steady herself. She wiped at her eyes, and Toby noticed the telltale glimmer of tears. His heart raced. He had seen Lily cry before, but never like this. This was different. There was a finality to her tears that he didn't understand. Why was she leaving him here? Had he done something wrong? Was he not being a good boy? She always told him he was. Lily opened the car door, hesitating for just a moment as if she might turn back. Toby's tail gave a few hopeful wags, his eyes brightening for an instant. But then she stepped inside, her face hidden from view, and Toby felt a pang of sadness ripple through him. He turned his head slightly, glancing back at the new family again. They seemed kind. They weren't Lily. As the engine of the car roared to life, Toby's ears perked up. He watched as the vehicle slowly backed out of the driveway, his paws shifting restlessly beneath him. His breath fogged the window again as he pressed closer, following Lily's car as it rolled down the street. His tail lowered, his ears drooped, and he felt a heaviness settle into his chest. The new family tried again to get his attention, calling him over with the ball and gentle words, but Toby couldn't respond. His whole being was focused on Lily, on the girl who had been his world for so long. He watched as the car grew smaller in the distance, his brown eyes filled with both hope and resignation. As the car disappeared from sight, Toby let out a soft whimper. He didn't fully understand why Lily had left him here, but he trusted her with all his heart. She had never led him astray before, and even though he felt an aching loneliness now, he believed that she wouldn't abandon him forever. Still, the sadness of the moment hung in the air, heavy and unshakable. Toby turned away from the window, but not before giving one last glance in the direction Lily had gone. His heart was torn between the excitement of the new surroundings and the lingering sorrow of her absence. He wandered over to the new family with slow steps, his tail drooping slightly, but his spirit was far from broken. Deep down he knew Lily loved him, and that love would guide him through this unfamiliar chapter. Yet, even as he lay down on the soft rug near the fireplace in his new home, his ears would twitch at the slightest sound from outside, always waiting for the day when Lily might come back. Over the next few weeks, Lily visited the Parkers to check on Toby and ensure that he was settling in well. Each visit reassured her that Toby had found a loving and supportive home. The Parkers kept her updated with photos and stories about Toby's adventures, and it was clear that he was thriving in his new environment. One sunny afternoon, Lily received a heartwarming message from Mrs. Parker. The message included a photo of Toby happily lounging in the sun with a big, contented smile. The caption read, "Toby has truly become part of our family. He's brought so much love to so much joy to our lives, and we're grateful for every moment with him." Lily smiled as she read the message, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and joy. Toby had found another home, and the new change had brought happiness to both him and the Parkers. The love and care that Toby received were evident in the glowing updates, and Lily knew that she had made the right decision in finding him a different home. As spring continued to unfold, Lily's passion for fostering and placing dogs grew stronger. She had always envisioned herself as an advocate for animals, and Toby's journey had only reaffirmed her commitment. When the time was right, Lily planned to focus on fostering more dogs, helping them find their own second chances and giving them the love and care they needed to flourish. And that is the end of chapter 11. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for going on this journey with me. Really appreciate all the time and energy you put into listening to these stories. If you have a story that you'd love to be heard, if you would love someone to read it, I want to read it. Please send those self-published, those unpublished works, poems, short stories, novels to the email address below, and you might be the next featured author in an episode of I'll Read That, or a series. This is a community where writers help writers, readers help writers, and readers get an opportunity to hear what's out there and maybe a new, love for the art. Everybody's story should have an opportunity of being heard. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Doesn't cost you a thing. Your comments could really help another writer grow and develop, as well as get your voice out to other readers. And that's important feedback to help this community grow. As always, please keep writing, and I'll read that.
I'll read that, a story to be told. Unpublished words, brave and bold. Chapter by chapter,